Over the course of his 16-year career, my next guest led the San Francisco 49ers to 4 Super Bowl victories, securing his place as one of the greatest football players of all time. Here to tell us all about his new magazine, In the Red Zone, please welcome the comeback kid, Joe Montana. Thanks for coming on the show.
Don't hand me a bag, please.
Great to have you here, Joe. And you got your own, this is unusual, you've created a magazine, which
Sure
is,
have.
and you've put yourself on the cover.
Well, I went back and forth over that. Believe me, we had a
Right.
fight, and they said, you got to be on the cover of your first magazine. I
Right.
said, no, I don't. They said, yes, you do. So we went back and forth with all the members of our team that we put together with the magazine, and they talked me into it. Believe me,
Well,
I
it's
didn't
not like
want
it's a lingerie magazine and you're on the cover. I enjoy the thong. No, it's you. It's a football magazine, and the idea is to let people inside football, to tell them what's really going on.
Yeah, I think one of the things about football is that, and unfortunately sports today, there's everything that you see about it, a lot of it's negative. And
Right.
what we're trying to do is show the inside of the players, the coaches of the game, parts of the game that you never thought about, and try to let people see that these guys are really people too, and give a little different look, and can combine a men's lifestyle magazine together with it, and have a lot of fun.
Well, whenever I'm watching football, I do focus on the huddle. I wonder what's going on in the huddle. What really happens in a huddle?
Oh, we talk about breakfast, lunch.
You talk about stuff?
No, actually, it's very segregated to a certain degree. The linemen kind of stick to themselves. They're talking about who's blocking what, and watch out for this guy coming around there, and they have their little tips on how they can tell where the defensive linemen are going. The wide receivers are always talking to the quarterback saying, I'm open. They're always open, doesn't matter.
Right.
And but most of the time the guys are in their own little world. Sometimes you gotta wake them up to let them know.
You have to knock people on the helmet sometimes when they're not paying attention?
There have been occasions where we've had to do that, and but it's been fun.
What about, I mean, athletes, I think, like performers are this way too. I'm a superstitious person. Every time before I go out, I have my rituals. Athletes, though, are supposed to be 10 times worse. I mean, what's one of the more superstitious players that you've encountered?
I've never seen a superstitious player.
Yeah, really.
No, we've had, actually, probably the most superstitious person I've ever been around was George Seifert. Actually, he had more superstitions, and he's going to kill me for saying these, but I mean, he had a sweater that he used to wear all the time during the weeks of the playoffs, and we had to actually, we went to New Orleans, had to send back to the house because he didn't bring it, to get his sweater and have him FedEx it out to the game. And
he was wearing the same one every day?
Yeah, every day.
So he's just a slob covering for himself. Well, you don't change your clothes. It's a superstition.
I mean, and that's part of some of those guys. But in there, you'll see one guy didn't wash his practice equipment. Can you imagine that? A lineman, even.
What? All the equipment? Even the undergarments, so to speak?
Undergarments and
that's
everything.
disgusting. I'm glad I got real specific. One of the jobs, and you see this a lot when you're watching, is when you're the quarterback, the defensive line, part of their job is to distract you, as you're getting ready to initiate the play. What's one of the weird, I mean, who was the best at it, distracting you, actually?
Well, there was probably 2 or 3 occasions that were pretty funny. There's a guy, Tim Harris, who used to play for the Green Bay Packers, ended up on the 49ers, but when we would play against him, he would constantly stand there and just talk about anything or nothing. You'd be standing there looking at the sideline, waiting to get the play signaled into you from the sideline. Tim Harris would be going, hey, what are you doing? Hey, your shoes untied. What are you looking over there for? They can't help you out here. By anything you could imagine, he would talk about.
What if he was just really demented? You saw him later on in a restaurant. He's just sitting there by himself. Yeah, I like onions, but I also like squash. I go over here. I go over there.
I think that was part of it.
Yeah.
We had another guy that one of our offensive linemen was blocking. We were playing the Cowboys one year, and it was in one of the big playoff games, and there was some talking going back and forth, as always, and I was never one to initiate it, but I was never one to back away from it either. And in comes Harvey Martin, and it's late in the third quarter, and he either sacked me or hit me late, and he said, and I want you to remember that because I will be back. And I just said, well, I hope so, because I was beginning to think you weren't in the game. And so the offensive lineman says, why do you have to say it to my guy?
You're not making life easy for him. Now, there's obviously ton of refs out there watching for anything dirty, any kind of dirty play, but there's got to be stuff that happens that's just way beyond the line that they don't see. What's the dirtiest trick you saw someone play that wasn't caught?
Well, I didn't actually see it. I saw the results of it. We were playing, I was in Kansas City with the Chiefs. We were playing in one of the playoff games, and it was a big, I believe it was a punt that was fumbled. Their guy fell on it, clearly. There was a pile up, and the next thing you know, out comes one of our linebackers with the ball. And so we get to the sideline, I go, Muskie, how did you get the ball? He said, well, I just reached in there and grabbed a hold of him and started squeezing. He said, and I told him I wasn't going to let go till he gave me the ball.
You know, I looked it up. That's actually legal, though. That's been legal since like '72. Before we go, do you have any Super Bowl predictions? I mean, you're supposed to know better than the rest of us.
Well, first, I'll give you my prediction, but I got to preface it with a little thing that happened to me when I was working for NBC. And we were, every week before the games, we'd go through and have a poll, and the makeup lady was in charge of collecting the money. And one time during the commercial, she came out, she was laughing so hard, I couldn't figure out what she was doing. And she walked out there and handed me my $5 back. She said, the people in the back are so broke up about your picks week after week. They're so bad that we decided to give you your money back this time.
So you're terrible. You never were right.
I like the Rams and the Jaguars.
Okay, so we know they won't be in it.
That's right. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't jinx it.
You just did. Yeah, they're furious. The magazine's called In the Red Zone, and you should check it out if you're a football fan. Joe Montana, thanks so much.
My
Very
pleasure.
cool.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Ruth Gerson coming on the show. Stick around.